Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Now, if you remember back to our last program, we were talking about the worlds of Norse mythology. We talked about their creation story, basically, and we'll get on to some other details of gods and giants and stuff in today's program. Which I guess is all leading up to the fact that there's a new Mighty Thor movie out there. And we probably would encourage you to go check it out if you're into that sort of thing. But our main point today, our main purpose today is to educate you on the world of Norse mythology for whatever reason.
Yeah, but that's a good reason because those Thor movies have been really popular. Thor also shows up in the Avenger movies when they have lots of superheroes that come together. But, yeah, it's kind of fun to see what the background of this is. I thought somebody had just made up Thor, in a Marvel comic, but I was wrong. It comes from Norse mythology, which we talked about in our first program. Talked about how the creation story involved the worlds of ice and fire and how they came together, and Ymir, this enormous giant, emerged from that. And then these other gods all grow from him. And one of the gods that grow from Ymir, crafty Odin, kills Ymir along with his brothers. So he works with his brothers to kill Ymir and then builds other worlds. So we also learned about the best human warriors, how they're rewarded after they die in battle. They get carried off to Valhalla, Odin's great hall of heroes, where they just get drunk and get fat together, awaiting that final battle. The last battle is called Ragnarok. Is that correct? Ragnarok.
Sounds close enough to me. We're not teaching Norse here.
No, but that's what the next movie's called. Thor, Ragnarok.
Cool. Okay, so the best way to learn how to pronounce that is to actually go see that movie yourself. Yeah. Or talk to your Norwegian friends. If you're out there traveling around the world, you'll no doubt run into Norwegians.
You could ask them, yeah.
Yeah, and they're pretty friendly people. They speak good English. So, yeah, check them out. Ask them, hey, how the heck do you say the name of that final battle in your mythology? And they'll probably happily tell you. But let's get to it, everybody. Let's find out some more about Norse mythology in today's program. We'll read the entirety of the lesson right now, and then we'll talk about it. The story of Ragnarok illustrates an interesting point about Norse beliefs. Their gods, unlike those of many other mythologies, could die. The Norse people lived in a harsh environment where the seas were rough and the winters were freezing. Life was a constant struggle to survive, and death was a reality to be faced rather than feared. This was doubly true for the Vikings, Norse warriors who sailed across the seas to raid other lands. Their stories of heroes and Valhalla taught them to be brave and live for glory in a perilous world where no one lives forever. Another lesson can be seen in the legend of how Odin learned the runes, the ancient writing system of the Norse people. They were carved on Yggdrasil, and to learn them, Odin stabbed himself and hung from the tree for 9 days and nights without food or water. This story shows us that knowledge and wisdom can only be gained through perseverance and sacrifice. The stories and characters of Norse mythology are so evocative that they are still told in modern times. One of the best-known modern versions is the Marvel character Thor, the god of thunder, who appears in his own movies as well as the Avengers. His next movie is titled Thor Ragnarok, which gives a clue as to what will likely happen in the film. Norse mythology has also influenced the work of many writers, such as J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin. Another writer inspired by these tales is Neil Gaiman, who earlier this year released his own book, Norse Mythology. These stories of gods, giants, and heroes have arguably never been more popular, so there's no better time to learn about them yourself.
Let's talk about the worlds of Norse mythology. Now, the story of Ragnarok illustrates an interesting point about the beliefs there, the Norse beliefs. Illustrate just means to explain or make something clear by using examples. Maybe you're using charts or pictures. The story, though, illustrates or explains an interesting point about their beliefs. Their gods, unlike those of many other mythologies, could die. In other mythologies, that's not true. But in their mythologies, yes, it's possible to kill them. It's possible for them to die. Now, the Norse people lived in a harsh environment where the seas were rough and the winters were freezing. If you've actually been to that part of the world, you know that it gets really cold in the winter and it really never gets very warm. I should probably move there because I hate hot weather. Now, if you're in a harsh environment, it's kind of rough. It's not easy to live in. It's difficult to survive in that particular environment. Where it says the seas are rough, which means there's a lot of wind. And so it's hard to actually go out there and get into a boat. It's very rough waters. And the winters were freezing. If something's freezing cold, you're emphasizing how very cold it is. I'll use that word sometimes. Never in Taiwan. I don't think Taiwan's winters are ever freezing. But if something's freezing, it just means it's really, really cold. Typically, it's cold enough to freeze things outside.
Yeah, 2 years ago when it got really cold in Taiwan, there were certain places in Taiwan where it actually snowed, and I took my daughter to Maokong to see the snow there, and my gloves weren't thick enough, so as I was riding my scooter, my hands were freezing. Oh. They were extremely cold, and it took me a long time to warm them up. But in any case here, we're in Northern Europe here in Scandinavia, in Norway, so of course it's quite cold there. The winters are harsh, the seas are rough, the winters are freezing. Life was a constant struggle to survive, and death was a reality to be faced rather than feared. Okay, so yes, they were probably used to hearing about people dying all the time because it was tough to survive. It was a constant struggle to survive. If it's constant, that means it doesn't stop. Sometimes in Taipei, the rain is constant. It can rain day after day for many weeks at a time. Sometimes the weather like that is constant. But there, it was a constant struggle to survive. They constantly had to fight to survive. There was always danger, maybe being attacked by wild animals, getting stuck in a storm, or getting hit by lightning or something like that. Who knows? But they had to struggle constantly to survive. So death was everywhere. It was a reality, and you had to face it. You had to realize, yes, it's probably my time here, just like it was for those 10 guys over there who died in a boat crash, or those ladies over there who were run over by a rolling tree trunk or something like that. So yes, I'm going to face death, and you cannot fear it. You have to laugh in the face of death.
So this was doubly true for the Vikings. Most people have heard of the Vikings. They were pretty fierce warriors. They were Norse warriors who sailed across the seas to raid other lands. So doubly true just means you're really emphasizing that it was so true is even twice as true for the Vikings. So it was doubly true for them. They used to sail across the seas. They're famous for those really kind of crazy helmets they would wear with horns on the sides. Those were the Vikings. They would raid other lands. If you see that word raid as a verb, it means somebody's going to somebody else's place, and it's a surprise attack. So you're going to your enemy's place. Usually it's an army that's going to do it, but they have this surprise attack. They're trying to steal something from you if they're raiding you. My mom used to use this verb to talk about my brother who would go and raid the refrigerator before dinner time. He wasn't supposed to get snacks before dinner, but he would sneak into the kitchen and take something from the refrigerator. So he was raiding the refrigerator. This is more serious. They're raiding other people's lands and countries and trying to steal from them.
To steal stuff and to take over and do other things. And their stories of heroes in Valhalla taught them to be brave and live for glory in a perilous world where no one lives forever. So that's what these stories are all about. They're about heroes doing really wonderful things, and of course going to Valhalla to feast and have a good time with Odin there. And so you had to be brave and you had to live for glory. Glory, of course, refers to when you are famous and everybody loves you, especially if you've achieved some kind of victory after some sort of physical activity. You can have glory if you win a baseball game, for example, or if you win a battle in a war, you're going to have great glory.
Right. We're calling it a perilous world. If it's perilous, it's dangerous. And you can perish, which means you can die. So it's a perilous world where no one lives forever. Kind of scary sounding. Now, another lesson can be seen in the legend of how Odin learned the runes. Now, that's the ancient writing system of the Norse people. They were carved on Yggdrasil, and to learn them, Odin stabbed himself. I'm sorry, it's kind of crazy. And hung from the tree for 9 days and nights without food or water. It seems kind of drastic. You know, he's just trying to learn their writing system. But it takes a lot of, I guess, toughness to learn that system. If you carve on something, usually you're taking a hard material and you're cutting into it. A lot of people like to carve their initials on tree trunks. You know, so-and-so plus so-and-so, or so-and-so loves so-and-so. You'll see that on trees. Maybe you are an artist who likes to carve wooden objects like birds, or maybe different statues are carved out of stone. Here, they would carve on Yggdrasil, and to learn them, he went ahead and stabbed himself. So he took a knife and plunged it into himself. He stabbed himself and then hung from the tree for 9 days and nights without food or water. I'm surprised he made it, because if he stabbed himself, he's probably bleeding. I don't know if you could make it after 9 days.
I don't know either, and that sounds pretty extreme to me to just learn a bunch of letters. Gee, what would you have to do to learn Chinese characters, which there are thousands of?
Yeah.
Runes, I don't think there are more than 50, if even 100 or something.
Interesting.
Runes, of course, are the ancient letters that you see sometimes. I think the symbol for Bluetooth is actually a rune for the letter B.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so yeah, check it out. They're just kind of letters that look kind of like English letters, but then they don't at the same time. It's kind of weird, but again, it's an ancient writing system, and Odin really made a big sacrifice there to learn the runes there by carving on the tree, or they were carved on the tree, and he memorized them, stabbed himself, etc., etc. And this story shows us that knowledge and wisdom can only be gained through perseverance and sacrifice, which I guess is kind of true. You don't have to go to that extreme to memorize English vocabulary, but you probably do need to burn the midnight oil from time to time while you're cramming for a test. And if you do that, if you do something without giving up, especially if it's something that is very difficult, then you have perseverance, okay? That means you're steadfast. You don't give up. You keep on working until you achieve success. You don't wimp out. You don't quit. You just keep moving forward until you get what you want. And sacrifice means that you're giving up certain things in order to achieve some kind of goal. Lots of sacrifice might be needed if you want to build a good company. You have to give up a lot of free time. You can't be with your friends and stuff. You have to work overtime a lot. That's a lot of sacrifice, but in the end, you will get your reward.
That's right. Remember, persevere is the verb and perseverance is the noun. Sacrifice can be both as well. Don't have to change the form of the word. Right now, guys, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要继续看第12单元，谈冰与火的传说。当然，谈的是北欧的神话。那提到北欧神话，这个在电影里面，在文学作品里面，其实我们大概都有一点概念，原来是来自于北欧神话。而提到当诸神黄昏的这场战役之后呢，这世界将会重生。所以说，这个故事当然跟北欧的信仰有关系。这里我们就要知道说，其他的神话里面的神可能是不会死的，比如说像希腊神话，可是北欧的神话，它里头的神却会死亡。这一点跟其他文学作品里头的，或者是其他神话里面谈的似乎不太相同。那我们谈到这个地方说到，其实北欧的人民他们的生活环境可以说是非常的恶劣。提到 a harsh environment where the seas were rough and the winters were freezing。注意到逗点 再接 where 是一个关系副词，而这个关系子句是一个非限定用法，用来补充说明用的，提到这个环境真的是非常的恶劣。接下来呢，他就说了，对他们这边的人来说，必须为生存搏斗，而且必须面对死亡。死亡对他们的意义是什么呢？ A reality to be faced rather than feared. 他讲到说，真的说起来，就是一个你必须面对的事实。To be faced. 而 rather than 是 A 而不是 B， 它是你要面对而不是你要害怕的对象。OK， 我们再往下读，我们下面提到的北欧人维京人，他们其实呢就是一个是北欧的这边的民族，而他们常常掠夺其他人的土地。这个地方又说到了这些英雄故事到底教他们什么样的 lessons 呢？这边就提到第一个 lesson， 他教会他们一定要勇敢，而且呢，如果在一个很险恶的环境里面，你要为光荣而活。注意到这个是 lesson 1。In a perilous world where no one lives forever. 这个 where no one lives forever， 我们如果跟前面的 where 做对照，会发现这里是没有逗点的。那没有逗点，它当然就是一个限定用法。换句话说，在什么样的一个世界呢？在一个没有人能够永生的这样的险恶世界里。OK， 我们再继续往下读。下面说到还有一个教训，刚刚是 lesson 1， 现在是 lesson 2。lesson 2就跟我们之前提到 Odin 这个神，他怎么样学到北欧的古文字 runes， 这个基本上是他们的一个文字系统。而从这个故事里面，这个 lesson告诉大家说，如果你要学会东西，要获得知识，要获得智慧，你一定要不屈不挠，必须要有牺牲的精神。这两个 keywords， 一个就是 perseverance， 一个就是 sacrifice。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We shall now continue with our story. We're talking about the stories and characters of Norse mythology. And those stories and characters of Norse mythology are so evocative that they are still told in modern times. So here we have the word evocative. That means something can be imaged really quickly. You can have an image in your mind based on a very vivid description. So I could say, hey, your description of your trip to Thailand was very evocative. As you were describing your trip, I could imagine those temples and those wonderful sights as if I had been there myself. So yes, your description was very evocative and very vivid, very lively.
So one of the best-known modern versions is, of course, the Marvel character Thor, who is the god of thunder, who appears in his own movies as well as the Avengers, which actually features lots of different superheroes, which is kind of fun if you like those films. If you're talking about a version of something, it's a particular form of something that's different from something that preceded it and followed it. We often use version to talk about software. A newer version of software is going to have different features. Or maybe you're writing a paper and your draft is your first version. Your final version probably comes after lots of work that you've done on it. So one of the best modern versions of these characters that we see in Norse mythology is the Marvel character Thor. We talked about him being played by Chris Hemsworth, who is an Australian fellow who's quite buff. Man, he's lifted a lot of weights. He looks hot.
Yeah, I can't say stuff like that because people will misunderstand it. But I should say he is quite a fine specimen and something the rest of us men can aspire to be like.
He's big,
in order to get the girls. But in any case, yes, indeed, that's the new movie coming out here, Thor Ragnarok. Okay, so yes, indeed, that's a modern version. The God of Thunder who appears in those movies, and he's in the Avenger movies, as you said. And, of course, this next movie, Thor Ragnarok, will give us a clue as to what will likely happen in the film, or at least his next movie is titled that. So because we've been talking about Ragnarok, you can probably have this clue as to what happens. If you're given a clue about something, that means you're given a little piece of information, not very much, but just enough to actually maybe make some more conclusions. So we're giving you a clue or a small idea as to what you can expect in this new exciting film playing at a theater near you.
I don't want to upset anybody, but remember what Ragnarok means. It's the doom of the gods. It's the last battle. So this could be the final Thor film.
Oh, no.
Which is kind of sad. I was into the Thor movies for Loki myself. I wasn't really a Thor fan, but Loki was fun. He was kind of a naughty brother. He made trouble, but was interesting. So this last movie, it may be the final wrap-up because we know that Ragnarok actually is the last battle of the gods. Could be pretty exciting, though, if you get a chance to go see it. Now, Norse mythology has also influenced the work of many writers. And these are a couple writers that our listeners will probably recognize. We've got J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin. I know I was a big fan of the Hobbit movies, which Tolkien wrote, and also The Lord of the Rings was a big series of movies, also by Tolkien. Are you a big fan of his stuff?
I was when I was in high school, but I'm not really into the fantasy genre so much anymore. A movie or a book that people are kind of into now is by George R.R. Martin. Isn't he the guy who wrote Game of Thrones or something like that? And we've got another writer.
That's pretty big now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Lots of people are talking about that, but unfortunately I haven't seen that TV show, nor have I read the book. But in any case, another writer inspired by these tales is Neil Gaiman, who's kind of a jack of all trades. He's a novelist. He writes graphic novels and stuff like that. He's a British guy, and his books have won awards and things like that. And earlier this year, 2017, he released his own book entitled Norse Mythology. So if you release a book, that means you have it published. You can release all sorts of things, especially if it's a work of art. A movie studio can release a new movie, for example.
Yeah.
Or a record company can release a new CD, or a singer can release a new album or something like that. So this writer released his own book about Norse mythology entitled Norse Mythology. Now, I don't know if this book is just talking about Norse mythology itself or if it's a work of fiction on his behalf and he's just writing using it. So you'd probably have to read some reviews about this book to find out what it's about. But still, Norse mythology is a fascinating subject.
Yeah, you might want to look into that if you want some more background on your favorite hero. If you're a Marvel character, Thor, you might want to look and see where he comes from, what he's about. I think it's interesting that J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin are both into the fantasy writing. George is an American. Tolkien was, because he's passed on. He was a Brit. But Game of Thrones is a really big thing. We both know, Tom, Brian loves those books. I haven't read the books and I haven't seen much of the TV show, but I know it's really popular, at least in the States. And I think it's popular here if you can get your hands on it.
I think he's written a lot more than just a Game of Thrones. He's got some other books as well. Again, kind of in the fantasy genre. And Neil Gaiman might be worth checking out too. So yes, indeed, this is all kind of related here. Norse mythology, these fantasy writers, along with Neil Gaiman, who has come out with a new book entitled Norse Mythology. Now, these stories of gods, giants, and heroes have arguably never been more popular, so there's no better time to learn about them yourself. Now, in this sentence, we have the word arguably, and, you've probably heard of the word argue, which as a verb means people have a verbal disagreement. You might hear the couple living next door to you arguing about something. They're having an argument. That's the noun, but arguably here is an adverb. That just means it could be argued. People could actually say this with some factual historical information backing them up.
You can debate it, right?
You can debate it, and you could probably be proven right that these stories have never been more popular. So yes, indeed, if you think about history and Norse mythology, gee, it seems like they're very, very popular these days, arguably more popular than they have ever been in history.
Yeah, I know it's really catching on. I was just reading about George Martin, who's kind of interesting. He started young. He went into screenwriting as well. He was part of the team that worked on Beauty and the Beast, you guys,
cool.
which was a couple months ago. So it's kind of fun. They say that George Martin is the American Tolkien, but both of these men have really achieved a lot in the fantasy genre, if you're into that. I think it's worth your time, though, to check out Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology if you're into that. Because, I don't know, if you're into something, you want to get some more knowledge, some more facts, it sounds like the type of reference book you want to go to if you need to hear more about the stories of gods, giants, and heroes. So it sounds fun.
Does indeed. So check out Norse mythology or check out the new Thor movie. And hey, talk about it amongst your friends. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
我们说到了北欧神话里面其实还有很多的含义在，而且它也要教会北欧人民什么样的精神。接下来我们就要看北欧神话的故事有什么样的影响呢？接下来也是一样，有2个影响要告诉大家。第一个就是说，在北欧神话他们的故事跟角色一直到今天为止，我们还是不断的传说。那我们要注意到的第一个就是在这句话里的 so evocative that， 我们知道 so 后面加一个形容词副词也好，然后加一个 that 是如此的以至于一个因果关系。那我们晓得在现代我们的故事里头还是会跟北欧神话扯上关系，比如说我们大家熟知道的一个电影角色索尔，其实就是从北欧神话而来的。当然在电影里面像复仇者联盟你也看到索尔这个角色。还有啊，接下来可能还有一部电影是索尔第3集诸神的黄昏，那我们就会回应到这些都是北欧神话的故事，不是吗？好，那还要提醒大家一点，当然你提到诸神的黄昏这个电影，然后接下来逗点再写 which，为什么要逗点？从前面我们的讨论过程里就知道，其实逗点后面的 which 接着这个关系子句是非限定用法，都是在补充说明用的，尤其是你放在专有名词的后面像比如说这里谈一个电影的名称，这种专有名词后面记得非限定用法是最适当也是正确的。 OK， 那提到第一个影响是这样，到现代为止我们发现还是跟北欧神话有关系的，但另外一个影响是什么呢？其实北欧神话影响了很多的作家，刚刚提到了魔戒，没错，像魔戒的作者还有谁？还有呢，像尼尔盖曼这些人，他们其实在作品里面像他写的北欧众神根本就是跟北欧神话有绝对的关系。好，那我们谈了这么多，相信大家也应该知道，原来北欧神话在我们的生活里、文学里、电影里是占这么重要的角色。我们今天的解释就到这边结束，我们下次见。
That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and make sure you come back and listen to us once again next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.